Hello and welcome to the Introduction to HMIS Data Entry Training, Part 1, Search and Add Clients. My name is Andrea Carey and I'm a System Administrator with the North Carolina Coalition to End Homelessness. Today's training and the rest of the series is meant to prepare you for the important responsibility to record client data into HMIS. Our agenda for Part 1 will answer this initial question: what are the basic rules for HMIS data entry? We can't begin to build a house without the bricks to lay the foundation. There are two key things you'll want to know before entering any data. First, projects. What's your client's project? What project do you work with the most? And are those two the same? Second, dates. Where in the timeline does this data refer to? Did you talk to the client today, yesterday, days, or weeks ago? The correct project and the correct date are like the bricks to begin building our house of data. Next, we'll dive into HMIS and learn the steps to search and to add a client into the system. Finally, there are some common mistakes you'll want to avoid. So let's start off with the data entry basics. Before you enter data, know your projects. Behind the scene of every client in HMIS are details essential to making our data meaningful. Identifying the right project in HMIS means identifying what funding supports your clients. Let's use the Emergency Solutions Grant from HUD as an example. Our client Alex entered a shelter program funded by county ESG dollars and therefore must be recorded in the Emergency Shelter County ESG project. In our example, Alex enters the shelter on Wednesday. Now let's consider Alejandro and what funding supports his services. If on Friday Alejandro uses a white flag emergency shelter bed funded by state ESG dollars instead, what would Alejandro's project be? Alejandro's project would be different than Alex's. Alejandro is entering the White Flag Shelter State ESG project. So even though Alex and Alejandro are both using shelter beds, they are entered into separate HMIS projects. Their projects are defined by the project type, which is emergency shelter, and the funding source, which is county ESG for Alex and state ESG for Alejandro. Why do you need to know this information before ever entering data into HMIS? Because the very first step to enter data into HMIS is to identify the project the client will be entered into. Imagine that our HMIS region is a city. We are all using the same database with the same website. Each building in that city is an agency in our community. Here we have very cleverly named Agency A, B, C, and D. Inside each building, there are rooms. Each door is a project within an agency. A single agency may have shelter funded by state ESG, transitional housing that is privately funded, and permanent housing projects funded by the continuum of care. This security keypad next to every door keeps some people out and allows some people in. The security is called Enter Data As in HMIS. When you have the security code for a room, you can place data inside the secure room. Data must be placed within the right door to be accessible for viewing, reporting, and sharing. Using Enter Data As mode in HMIS, data is safe and easily located for when you need it. What happens if you do not place data within the right door? Well, if Enter Data As mode is not used, it's like client data is left in the hallway of our building, not inside a room. This means that client data can look blank, be accidentally shared, or not appear at all in reports. So, to summarize, if data is left in the hallway and Enter Data As mode is not used, you can create three types of problems. 1. Visibility problems. This is when client data cannot be seen in Service Point by those who should be able to see it. 2. Privacy and security problems. We are better able to ensure data is accessed only by those with permission when it is in the correct place. We need to know that the data is behind the secure door within the secure agency building because the data we're collecting is sensitive. 3. Data quality and reporting problems. Other times, client data can be seen in Service Point, but it is not pulled into reports. Reports sent to supervisors, funders, researchers, and the Housing and Urban Development Department should include all of your hard work. So please use Enter Data As mode when recording or updating data in HMIS. It is crucial to your success on HMIS and ultimately to providing the best services possible to your clients. Let's take a look in HMIS. First, we need to know where you start. Know your default Enter Data As mode. When you log in, you either enter our agency building or a specific room within it automatically. Here are two possible views that you would see once you log in. Your default Enter Data As mode can be seen on the upper left-hand side of your home page. In the first screenshot, it says Heading Home Housing - Rowan County. In the second screenshot, it says Heading Home Housing - Rowan County - Emergency Shelter COC. The first example has a default Enter Data As mode for the agency level. This means that the user is automatically placed inside the agency's building, but not in a specific room. You can tell because the name only contains two parts, the agency name and the county name. This follows the standard naming format in HMIS at NCCEH. The second example has a default EDA mode on the project level and has a longer name. This means that the user is automatically placed inside a specific room, past the security key code. You can tell because the name has more than two parts, the agency name and the county name, and the project type or name, and the funding source. The project type may have a program name in it as well. This too follows the standard naming format in HMIS at NCCEH. Remember, the project level is where client data should be entered, so this default Enter Data As mode is ready to enter data and place it inside the correct project. If you work with only one HMIS project, ask for your default Enter Data As mode to be assigned there. If the default Enter Data As mode is not the right project for the client you're about to enter data on, then you must change your EDA mode and select the correct project. Imagine now that we're walking down the hallway and we're going to select the right room for this data. In the upper right-hand corner of the page, click on Enter Data As to change your EDA mode. A new pop-up box will appear. There will be a search bar at the top and a list of providers or projects below. Quick tip, you do not have to search, but if you do have a long list of projects available, you may. In the middle, there is a header called Provider Number. This is where you can enter the project identifier number for a specific project. In order to select a project from the list, click the green plus sign. Hovering over or clicking on the name of the project will not select your project for Enter Data As mode. Only click the green plus sign. Now that we've selected a new Enter Data As mode, the beginning of the name appears in the upper right-hand corner of our screen. This new EDA mode now is overriding our default mode. Zooming in here, you can hover over the blue name of your new EDA mode in order to see the full project name. This helps you confirm which project was selected and whether you're in the correct project. Our next section is also about important preparation before you enter data into HMIS. Now we look at dates. What is the right date for your data? This is what you want to ask yourself before recording or updating any info in HMIS. Many agencies are opting for live data entry, meaning that the data is collected from the client and entered into HMIS on the same day. But not everyone has this capacity yet. Some agencies collect data from clients and it is entered on a different day. For example, a client could have an intake interview on Wednesday and record the client's responses on paper forms. Then, 2 days later on Friday, the HMIS user copies the data from the paper forms into HMIS. As a system and as data nerds here at the Data Center, we want to get ever closer to real-time data entry. One important measure of data quality is the length of time between data collection and data entry into HMIS. We call this timeliness. Our HMIS measures this for project start and project exit data. Data science has shown that data is more accurate and more useful when data is entered in a timely way. This applies in general, not solely to the area of ending homelessness. We can see this in our work too. Timely data is more accurate. The more time that passes, the less accurate the data is. Missing or inaccurate data may be found on paper forms, but the client may be already exited. Typos and mistakes are made more often. This could happen when data goes from the client to paper forms and then into HMIS, or from something as simple as different people can read handwriting differently. Timely data is also more useful. When data is up to date, everyone is better off. Clients can get the referrals or services they need. Opportunities can come up at any time, and having an up-to-date database that shows client needs can help connect folks quickly. Agencies know who they serve at any time and can reduce trackers. With confidence that HMIS is accurate, other redundant systems can be removed. COC leads can report on data with confidence. This can impact funding, technical assistance efforts, and decisions about new initiatives like coordinated entry. Just a quick disclaimer before we learn more. Since some communities delay data entry and use paper forms for data collection, we will regularly refer to the delayed workflow in this training. Items that do not apply to live data entry workflows will be acknowledged throughout. How can you enter data with the right date? Backdate mode allows HMIS users to select the correct date. This way, data will be recorded in HMIS with the date of the intake or interview, not when you happen to get to data entry in HMIS. Remember where we changed our Enter Data As mode? Backdate mode is in the same place, the upper right-hand corner of the HMIS homepage. Once you click on Backdate, a pop-up box will appear with a date and time options. Enter the date you will need for your data. Project start date, project exit date, etc. If you need help determining what date to use, refer to the HMIS Required Data Elements training. The time will default to 2 a.m. Use the 2 a.m. time unless instructed otherwise. Then click Set Backdate. Once you set your new backdate mode, the top banner on the screen will turn yellow. The specific date and time you selected will also appear right next to backdate in the upper right-hand corner. Typos happen, so double check that your date is there. Now data that you enter into HMIS will have that timestamp and be identified as true on this date. So, which modes do you need to confirm before recording any data in HMIS? The Advanced Reporting Tool, Enter Data As, Backdate, or Case Manager. You will need to confirm Enter Data As and Backdate modes before entering any data. This will confirm the project and date of the data you're entering. We emphasize these two steps before the main section of data entry because it is so essential to HMIS working for you. Let's dive into how to search and add a new client into HMIS. Search for clients first. Why do we search for clients in HMIS? We want to avoid duplicates. Split client profiles in HMIS mean that the agency and the community doesn't get the full picture of a client's experience of homelessness and the services that they may have tried before. Searching also helps us find duplicates. And overall, we want to keep HMIS accurate, and we need everybody's help to search for clients first in order to do that. Once EDA and backdate modes are confirmed, look to the left-hand side menu for Client Point. We're going to show you how searching is done through Client Point, but if your project uses Shelter Point, the search steps are the same. The client search screen will appear with all of the options to find client profiles. name, alias, social security number, and veteran status. Notice too that there is an exact match search option at the bottom. Search broadly to find any possible profiles for your client. If you were looking in a filing cabinet, you might try multiple drawers in order to find a client folder. We are doing that here in HMIS by searching 3 ways. First, try a partial name such as MI Mouse or Mickey MO. If there's an available alias, try that. For example, we would search Batman for Bruce Wayne. Lastly, search using the Social Security number. This unique identifier can help us find a profile that already exists. Try at least the last 4 numbers. All in all, search 3 different ways to make sure that your client does not already have a profile. Let's try to find our fake client, Henrietta Lax. Our first method, a partial first name, means that HE is entered into the first name box and Lax is entered into the last name box. No other information is entered. Then we click Search. You may have to scroll down to view the results. Here it says no matches. Now we're going to clear the previous search terms and try again. Click the Clear button next to Search. Now we scroll up and try a different method. Let's try using a partial last name, Henrietta L.A. Click Search to find the results. No matches again. Now we clear the search and try again. Click Clear and scroll up. If we had a client that used an alias, we could search using Alias. Since Henrietta doesn't have a nickname, we're going to use a different example. Let's search for Marguerite Johnson's profile with her alias Maya. Nothing but Maya is entered into the search area. Then we click Search. We got a match. Below in the results is our example, Marguerite Johnson, who is also known as Maya Angelou. If the right client profile is found, select the client name or pencil icon to go to their profile. If the client was not a match, we would clear the search and use the Social Security number for our third and last search method. Our last method to search for client profiles is by the Social Security number. Here we entered the last 4 numbers of our example client, Sir Walter Raleigh. This is the only time we recommend using the exact match button. You only want to search for the exact last 4 in order to find a potential match. Uncheck it if this step does not give you your client. After clicking Search, we found 2 possible matches with the same last 4 numbers of the Social Security number. Use all of the available information to determine if one of the results is correct. One is a match. Select the correct client name or pencil icon to continue to their profile. In our example, it's easy. We know that we are searching for Sir Walter Raleigh. If the name wasn't a clue, the date of birth and gender are also visible. What if you find duplicates? Here we searched for John Smith. The only difference between the profiles is the junior suffix. This is a duplicate profile. Use the more complete profile, number 14, and report both client IDs, both 14 and 15, to the data center. Then the data center can merge the profiles and all data is saved. After searching 3 methods and still not finding any matches, create a new profile. Complete all of the information you have available. Make sure to include the data quality drop-down questions like name data quality and Social Security data quality. Then click the button below called Add New Client with this information. Quick tip: double check that the Social Security number is complete. Once you click Add New Client with this information, the number is locked down. This is the last time you can edit the client's SSN. Call the data center if the Social Security number needs to be updated. Whether you found the client through searching or added a new client after searching, you will end up here at the client profile. Now we'll point out the important info. How to read the client profile. At the top, you'll see which profile you're viewing with the client ID number and name identified. Here our client number is 16. Of course, in the real site, clients have 5 or 6 digit numbers. Below the yellow section repeating the client ID and name, you'll see a series of tabs like in file folders. These help us navigate to different areas of the client data. This is our home base for data entry. Below that is a section titled Client Record. This has the information entered when the profile was created. If you need to edit anything, you can click on the pencil. Below the client record is the client demographics. This is where the next step of data entry happens. Complete the demographics like date of birth and gender here by clicking on the pencil icon. Once those are saved, the client demographics section will look like this. Remember that secondary race is not required, but an option for clients identifying more than one racial identity. If a client wants to identify more than 2 races, up to 5 can be selected in the client profile assessment below. Remember to save. So let's check in. When do you create a new client profile? Every time a new client arrives at my project, every time a client is new to my project, only after searching 3 times in HMIS. Search 3 different ways in order to find a client's existing profile before creating a new client profile. The most common mistakes to finding the client profile are creating duplicate profiles and missing social security numbers. Avoid these mistakes. Creating duplicate profiles. Search for any client you're about to add. They might already have an HMIS profile. Missing social security numbers. If possible, have the client's SSN ready when you search and add a client. You have one shot to add it without the data center's help. Thank you for completing the Introduction to HMIS Data Entry Part 1, Search and Add Clients training.